What is going on, Nuggets Nation NBA fans? My name is Tom Leuthner. Welcome back to Nuggets Today. We have some topics to cover, and the first topic that we are going to cover is the fact that the drama continues. So there's been a lot of news out on Jonas Valanciunas, and I know that it's just nonstop at this point. There's reports that he's going to come back. There's reports that he's not going to come back. There's reports that he wants to be there. There's reports that he doesn't want to be there. So the latest report is that his Lithuanian agent agreed to Panathinaikos, however you say it. I apologize to all my Greek viewers out there. That is a very hard name to pronounce. That Jonas would be bought out and the Nuggets would allow him to go ahead and play overseas. Now, the truth of that, who may know, but all the Nuggets reports have been that the Nuggets would, or have been that Jonas's agent agreed that he would be bought out without any actual agreement on the Nuggets side. So the Nuggets are now frustrated with the lack of communication, of course, because like we've covered, I believe, yesterday's episode, the Nuggets believe that he would honor the contract that he signed in the NBA. Now, I know that there has been some obviously situations with guys like just recently today, actually, the day of this recording, Vasilij Micic was bought out. And those were guys who were either not going to play on their rosters or were not going to compete realistically. I know the Bucks are a competitive team, but that probably means that Vasilij was not going to play. So for a guy like Jonas, this is a very different situation because if you go back and look at what Shams reported, for all those people in the comments on yesterday's episode saying that I was wrong, the Nuggets plan to play Jokic or Jonas rather, as Jokic's backup and alongside Jokic. So I know that it wouldn't be Jokic starting at the 4, but I think the Nuggets had plans of one of the two of them being at the 4 or playing positionless and having two bigs in at one time, both those bigs being Jonas and Jokic. So if you go back and look up Shams Charania's post on X and read what he said, the Nuggets did plan on playing him as a backup end alongside Jokic at times. Now, do I think they're going to start together? No, not many times at least. And do I think that Jokic is a 4? No, not at all. I do think he's a 5, but you may see Jokic next to him as a primary ball handler at the big position, playing with Jonas in, spotting up in the corner or playing down low on the block if Jonas decides to stay. But I mean, again, it's just constant drama at this point, and I'm going to get into what I wanted to say in a second, but I am hopping into a different topic here, and that different topic is Malcolm Brogdon, a guy that was believed to be on the Nuggets radar, somebody that I know a lot of Nuggets fans wanted. It was, continuous talks on social media about, oh, can we please go out and sign Malcolm Brogdon? Oh, can we please get him? He's a great backup point guard, especially on a vet minimum. Well, the report came out, according to Jake Fisher and NBA Central, that there's a new list of teams in on Brogdon, and the Nuggets are not one of them. Now, does that take the Nuggets out of contention for Malcolm Brogdon? Probably not. But the teams listed were the Clippers, the Suns, the Warriors, the Timberwolves, the Pelicans, the Kings, and the Bucks. Now, I'm interested to see where Denver goes from there with that report coming out because the Clippers are also interested in Bradley Beal if bought out and Chris Paul. So them being on there, it looks like they're probably looking for a backup point guard or maybe just more depth at the point guard position because they do have Chris Dunn, who was actually a good guard for them last year, played very good defensive minutes. It's going to be interesting. And now I'm interested to see if maybe DeAnthony Melton is now a name on the list for Denver. Kyle Lowry was just signed by the Sixers, so he's off the board. The depth of the center and point guard positions are sort of lacking at the moment. So, like I said, who knows where Denver goes? Maybe they just want to run with Bruce Brown as their backup point guard. Would I mind that? Not really, but at the same time, there's ways that you can go from Bruce Brown being the backup point guard, and that's something I'll hop into quickly in the community talk topic. But this next topic is the possibility of another big being in Denver. And before I even get to that, the newest report coming out is the fact that Al Horford is choosing between either the Golden State Warriors, the Denver Nuggets, or retirement. So who knows where that goes, obviously, but I think that he is waiting right now to see what happens with the Jonas news. Because Denver could then offer him the most money, which Denver would most likely do if you had to ask me. So I think he is waiting, but there's a chance that the Chicago Bulls buy out Nikola Vucevic if they're not able to make a move via trade for trading him. So supposedly they've been shopping him for the last year just about. So they were not able to land anything. That's because of his contract. Now he is aging, and I know he's not great defensively, but he is a Jonas Valanciunas type player where he's going to be a backup big, and he can actually shoot, which would be great because he plays alongside, again, he could play alongside Jokic, but he could also be a good backup. And it's funny because they had interviewed Jokic and they had asked if they're friendly, and Jokic said, we play a lot of Counter-Strike together, which proves that there is now a relationship between Jokic and Vucevic. And I don't think that Vucevic's ego is too big to the point where he wouldn't take a backseat role, where it seems that Jonas's might be. Now, am I saying that Jonas's is? No. But to want to leave and go ahead to Greece and not want to be a backup is saying something to me. Again, he didn't come out and say that he doesn't want to be a backup, but that's where all the signs are pointing. So before you hop on me for saying that I think that his ego's too big, that's just the way I feel, because if he wanted to be a backup for a contending team, he would stay on the Nuggets, he would honor his contract, and he would just play out one more year and attempt to make a championship run. Now, this is the community talk episode, or a community talk topic, and I know that this has been pretty big in the community, at least for me. So I'm going to start with something I said last episode, and I made a comment about Jokic not being the most fit center in the NBA. Now, what I meant by that is not how you guys took it. Jokic has unlimited stamina, it seems. That guy can play every single minute of every single game. What I meant by that comment was the fact that Jokic isn't in the most fit shape when it comes to his physicality. Now, again, when I'm saying fit shape, I mean he is not built like a guy, like a guy like Karl Malone. He's not built like a guy like Giannis. He is a very strong individual with almost unlimited stamina. What I meant by that comment is that when you are playing against so many teams with so many bigs, you are going to constantly get grabbed, you're going to get hit, you're going to get beaten up down low. We've seen it where his arms are cut up, where he's all red, all over his arms, all over his neck. He is constantly taking beatings, and it's for other teams, it's an advantage because he is always on the floor because Denver hasn't had a backup big. Now, Jeff Green, was playing the backup big in the championship run, and he was able to give Jokic those minutes because he played an athletic big role. But what I was trying to get at is the fact that Jokic could benefit from having a backup center because when he goes against these Western Conference teams with, it seems like, unlimited amount of bigs, he is going to get beat up. Now, like I said, it's more the physicality factor where he's going to get hit, and that drains you regardless of what shape you're in. So when it came to the most fit player, I mean, he is not jacked out of his mind like those kinds of guys. Those kinds of guys are able to take beatings and continue to jump up. Now, is Jokic not strong? He is strong 100%. He's, obviously he's strong. I think we've seen that. Jokic is able to body anybody. But it does take a physical toll on your body, and being able to have a backup will definitely help him out to get his breathers, not just stamina-wise. It is very funny to me that the entire community says, Jokic is tired. He needs a backup. His stamina's not there. He's tired. And then when I come to say that he's not fit, meaning physically, you guys took it as a stamina issue. That is not what I meant, and I do apologize to all of you guys. There's one other topic, like I was saying before, that I do want to hop into here, and that is a new friend of mine named Danny, very cool guy. Him and I were actually talking about off-season plans, and he was saying that if there are picks available to trade, he wouldn't mind obviously if the Bulls would do it, maybe moving Najee's contract and a pick for Ayo Dosunmu, which I wouldn't mind. I don't know if that's realistic. And he also talked about signing Chris Boucher, which is something I've been on board with for a little while. So I do appreciate his insight on what he would like to do. I'm a big fan of, if you are going to run, and this is what I was going to get at before, if you're going to run Bruce Brown at the 1, I love the almost infinite wing depth, and that's something I've covered. Now, everybody said, well, Coffee would be terrible because you have so many wings. With Cam Johnson's injury history, you want to make sure you have the most depth at that position. Now, I know you have Christian Brown, you have Julian Strawther, you have Tim Hardaway Jr., you have Peyton Watson, but there is never enough wings on your roster, if you ask me, as long as you have a backup center. Now, let's say this Jonas, the Jonas deal doesn't go the way it's Denver wants it to, and you do want to run Bruce Brown at the 1 off the bench, then you can go ahead and you can bring in Chris Boucher or Al Horford, and if you can still go ahead and get Amir Coffey, I would advise Denver go ahead and do so, because then your bench is now Bruce Brown, Julian Strawther, Peyton Watson, Deron Holmes, Amir Coffey, Tim Hardaway Jr., Chris Boucher. You have depth, and you can run so many different lineups off the bench and with your starters than you could if you're capping out at a 10-man rotation. Now, that would probably have to come with most likely cutting Hunter Tyson or Jalen Pickett. And I know people are high on Jalen Pickett, but maybe Tyson takes a leap and is a good bench shooter, but I also rather see Strawther and Tim Hardaway Jr. playing that role and have Coffey be a guy who can come in and get maybe 8 to 10 minutes if needed, or if somebody goes down, he steps up and you are deeper at that position because he can play the 2-3-4. Right? Maybe he's not a 5, but you have Peyton Watson who could be a small 5. You have Deron Holmes who could be a small 5. If you go ahead and get Chris Boucher, he's a rim protecting 5. So I am a big fan of Bruce Brown at the 1, Julian Strawther at the backup 2, Jalen Pickett at the third string 1, Tim Hardaway Jr. at the backup 3, Peyton Watson at the backup 3 or 4, Deron Holmes, and then again Boucher, Horford, Jonas, whatever that may be. Anyway, that's all I got for you guys today, Nuggets Nation. Hopefully there are some more Jonas news at the time of this recording. Everything I've covered is what is currently happening, so something may happen after, something may happen before the episode is aired, but whatever that news may be, I will cover it as soon as it happens and hopefully get it out to you guys the next day. But leave a like, leave a comment, hit that subscribe button, and I will talk to you guys tomorrow.